Hello viewers, today we will be discussing a technique for detecting the number of siblings one has and how one's siblings, brothers and sisters going to be in this world, their male or whether they are male or female, and how is the relationship going to work with the siblings. That we'll discuss in today's video. The divisional chart that we are going to discuss today is called Drekshan chart D3 in short. And also in the Ashtakvarga video there was a small section for Mars Ashtakvarga in which we discussed how to determine the number of siblings based on Mars Ashtakvarga. That one, in my practical experience, I have found that it doesn't work very well. Actually, that numbers are off bit here and there. But this technique that I am going to discuss today, it's 100% accurate, and it works based on. There are several schemes of calculating Drekshan chart. There are several methodologies used for calculating the D3 chart. Okay, and all of them have different purpose. Some are used for finding out the karma of a person. Okay, the fruits of karma. That's the Somnath, Jagannath Drekshan. Then there is a Parashara Drekshan for determining the number of siblings. There are other Drekshan also that are used for finding out the ojas of the person and body parts also. Okay, but today we will discuss the Parashara Drekshan for determining the nature of siblings and determining their genders. Okay, now calculation part for Parashara Drekshan is very simple. It is very similar to what we did in determining the 22nd Drekshan in the Kharesh video. The idea is very simple. We just have to divide each Rashi into 3 parts. Each part will be of exactly 10 degrees, and the first part is going to be attributed to the sign itself, the first house itself. The second Drekshan will be attributed to the 5th sign from itself, and the third Drekshan will be given to the 9th house from itself. So, for example, for calculating the Drekshan of Aries, we'll divide it into 3 parts. So, the first 10 degrees, the first Drekshan will belong to Aries, will go to Aries sign. So if there is any planet in that part, it will go to Aries. Then the second Drekshan from 10 degree to 20 degree will belong to Leo. So if there is any planet over there, then that planet will go to the Leo sign in the D3 chart. Then the third Drekshan, which is the third Drekshan 20 degree to 30 degree will belong to Sagittarius, and whatever planet is over there will go to Sagittarius sign. So likewise, we have to calculate all the planets that are there in the Rashi chart and map it to the Drekshan chart. This calculation is very simple. It's called Parashara Drekshan. And once you have arrived at the Parashara Drekshan, we can use this for calculating, for finding out what all siblings and their genders in this fashion. Okay. So first of all, overall the D3 chart should be studied as if an independent chart. Okay, so if this chart has inherent strength, then you can say that there will be siblings. Okay, sometimes you will see that the person doesn't have any siblings at all. Okay, so that attributes to very weak Drekshan chart. Okay, now there are several ways of finding out the strength and weakness of charts. Okay, first of all, that lagna of that chart should be very strong. Okay, lagna of the chart should be well placed in the chart. So also there should be good planets in the Kendra from that sign. If Jupiter is over there in the lagna, if Jupiter is there in the Kendra, then it protects the siblings. Also, now once you study this as a normal Rashi chart, like finding out the 5th and 9th lords and the Kendra lords and the exchange between Kendra and Kona lords and conjunction of these planets over there in good houses. All these things denote, all these things enhance the strength of the Drekshan chart. Likewise, you can say that now first of all, which houses are there for the siblings? Now third house in general is for all siblings, but when you have more than one siblings, when you have lot of siblings, then generally it is taken that the younger ones are taken from the third house, then the still younger from there will be third from third. Okay, so the first younger sibling will be denoted by the third sign, by the third house in the Drekshan chart. Then the second younger one will be given by third to third, that is the fifth house. Okay, and likewise you can just go on and on. Okay, but when you are seeing the elder ones, then you have to see the 11th house. Okay, so the 11th house becomes your immediate elder sibling. Then 11th to 11th becomes the elder than your elder sibling. Okay, so likewise you can just go on and on. Okay, now before doing this, one has to know that one has to do this counting in the reverse order when the lagna is in the even sign. Okay, so when the lagna is in the odd sign, then only this counting will be like this. Like if lagna is Aries, Gemini, Leo, Libra, these odd signs, then one has to look for younger sibling from the third house and the elder from the 11th house. But when the lagna is in the Taurus, Cancer and Virgo, like this, the even signs, then one has to look for the elder ones from the third house and the younger one from the 11th house. Okay. Now another point to be noted here is one has to look for the lord of that sign as somebody as your sibling, as the native sibling, not that sign itself. Okay, for example, if suppose your Drekshan Lagna is Leo, then for the younger son, for the younger sibling, you will look for the third house, that is Libra, and you don't have to look into Libra. You have to look for the sign, for the lord of that sign, that is Shukra, where Shukra is placed, in which sign it is placed, and based on that sign you can determine whether your younger sibling is a male or female. Okay. Now to determine male or female, the rule is very simple. You just have to look for whether it's even sign or odd sign. If the lord is placed in the even sign, then your younger sibling is a female. Okay, is your sister. And if it is in the odd sign, then he's a male. Okay, he'll be your brother. Only the exception is two. That is the if it is Cancer, then it will be considered as male instead of female. If it is Gemini, then it will be considered female instead of male. Also in Pisces and Aquarius, there is this exchange. When it is Pisces, then it will be considered as male, and when it is in Aquarius, it will be considered as female. Okay, so in this way, you can find out the gender of the sibling. Now this thing gets very complicated when you see that lord is placed in some sign where there are a lot of planets. Okay, so then you have to take into account the gender of the planets associated also. Okay, so this is the thumb rule that one has to follow, that if the lord is going into some Rashi in the D3 chart, then that Rashi, if that Rashi contains lot of planets, then take into account their genders. Okay. Now for determining this, one has to ignore one has to consider Saturn and Mercury as neutral planets, Venus and Moon as Venus, Moon and Ketu as female planets, and all others like Rahu, Jupiter, Sun, Mars as the male planets. So if Rahu, Jupiter, Sun, Mars is over there, then one will say it is a male child. If Venus and Moon is over there, then it will be a female sibling. Okay, now suppose male and female planets are in equal numbers. So suppose, let's say the sign where that lord is going, it has Venus also, and it has Jupiter also. Okay, so that male and female, they got balanced. Now one has to look for the nature of that sign. Okay, ultimately that nature of that sign is going to produce sibling. So if that nature of sign is male, then it will be male child. If it is female, then it is female child. Okay. Of course, with the exception how to determine the male and female based on odd and even sign, and the exception that you have to remember always, that there is an exchange in Cancer and Gemini and Pisces and Aquarius. Okay. Otherwise, rest all the odd signs, they represent the male planet. Rest all the even signs, they represent the female planet. They represent the female sibling. And in the planets, you have to look for the genders of these planets. Okay. Excepting Saturn and Mercury, you can just look for Venus and Moon is Venus, Moon, Ketu for female child, and Rahu, Jupiter, Mars, Sun for the male child. Also, one has to see the states of these planets, especially the debilitated and the exalted ones. So, if any planet is exalted, then it shows the male child. If any planet is debilitated, then it shows the female child. So, but the real confusion arises when Ketu is exalted and Rahu is debilitated, or some planet which is showing male is debilitated, and some planet which is showing the female is exalted. In that case, you can consider that exaltation as one more addition. Okay. For example, let's say Venus is over there and exalted. Okay. Now Venus exalted, so Venus itself is female, Venus exalted itself is male. So that male female got cancelled. Then you have to look for other factors. That way, the whole balancing will go on. Okay. So this way, basically, you can determine all the gender of the siblings. Now we'll look into the some example charts. See here, I'm discussing the chart of Indira Gandhi. Okay. Now in the chart of Indira Gandhi, the Drekshan, the Parashara Drekshan is rising Pisces, and it has Mercury and Saturn. Saturn is the 11th lord. Okay. And in the 10th house, Mars is there in the Digbala. Now see, it is said that now Indira Gandhi didn't have any siblings. She had one elder brother, but who died in the very early age. Okay. Now let us look at the third house for the younger one. Oh, sorry. Since the Lagna rising is the even sign, so we'll look for the third house in the reverse direction. Okay. So third house from reverse direction is the 11th house actually, which is Capricorn, and the lord of Capricorn is Saturn in the Lagna, and that Saturn is getting drishti from Mars. Okay. Now you see that Saturn itself is in the Maran Karak Sthan, because Saturn in the Lagna is not good for Saturn itself. Okay, Saturn doesn't like to be in the place of Lagna. Okay, so that Maran Karak Sthan of Saturn is definitely not good for the younger sibling. Now for the elder one, you have to look for the 11th house in the reverse direction, which is third house here. So that third house is Taurus, and lord of Taurus is Venus. Venus is there in the 6th house. Again, you see Venus is there in the sign of in the 6th house, which is again a Maran Karak Sthan, so which is not again good, and it is aspected by Rahu. Okay, so now you see the younger and elder son siblings both are in such a bad condition. So that's why she was alone and she didn't enjoy the company of siblings at all. Now let us look at the chart of her sons. Okay, Rajiv Gandhi. Okay, Rajiv Gandhi was elder and Sanjay Gandhi was the younger one. Now in the chart of Rajiv Gandhi, you see that the Drekshan rising is the Leo. Okay, and the younger one is shown by the third house from there. Now you see the third house contains Saturn. Okay, Saturn is exalted. and Saturn is the lord of 6th and 7th house. Okay, now that exalted Saturn shows some quality of his younger son. Like Saturn is very fixed and he's very adamant. So everyone knows like how how the characteristic, the nature of Sanjay Gandhi was. He was very adamant at his opinions, and now you see it is the Maraka also, because the seventh lord is exalted in the third house, so it becomes Maraka for the sibling. Now you see the third lord actually. Okay, the third lord is Venus. To determine the sex, the gender of the sibling, you have to look for the third house, the third lord. Third lord is Venus, and it is placed in the Sagittarius. Okay, and Sagittarius has Moon and Jupiter. Moon represents female, Jupiter represents male. So male female got cancelled. Okay, now look for the sign. That sign is Sagittarius, which is the odd sign, so it has to be male. Okay, now had there been one more planet, okay, let's say one more female planet would have been there, then that femaleness of that planet and the nature of that sign, they would have got balanced, and the Venus would have given the girl child. Okay, so that way basically one has to determine based on the nature of planets and based on nature of the sign itself to determine the gender of the sibling. Okay.